Throwing knives, 9 times out of 10, not a great idea. Tends to be dangerous, so, don't actually do it. But we want to. So we tried it digitally, and of course, we could go full digital here using a CG knife and so on, but if you hold on those, they tend to look like CG knives, even in some big budget films. So, as always, we want to try to mix in some practical elements as much as possible. And we've done plenty of stuff with knives in the past. Always super low budget DIY filmmaking like our knife throwing before in a few episodes. Or stabbing someone with a knife made of tinfoil, or creating a digital extension to a knife like in Halloween. But as you saw already, we also aren't showing the knife actually land somewhere, though seeing the knife actually land is incredibly simple. Like we showed in this episode here, I'd show the knife hitting the wall or whatever else it landed on in the same way, so just check out that episode in the notes below. But in the same spirit of those old school episodes, we wanted to do this as low-key backyard filmmaking as possible to see how far we could take it in a very short amount of time, because why not?
Sounds good. Sounds as if you're learning to keep your emotions in balance.
So first, we grabbed some real butcher knives, and here's a disclaimer, knives are sharp. And they're dangerous. So don't be an idiot. Treat absolutely everything you do as if you're moments away from possible injury. Give everything a ton of respect, always putting safety first above everything else.
Unless you're like super into murder. And then I guess,
Cutting this out, obviously.
Well, no.
Cutting this out.
Well, no. We're gonna keep it.
But after grabbing the knives, we secured one to a board, which we spray painted green, and we secured another to a metal stick that we also spray painted green. Neither of them looking all that great. Now I'm grabbing 2 shots as plates, one straight on, looking at Josh, and the other pulling away while he mimics having just thrown the knife. For this one, I'm shooting with a slightly higher shutter speed, and since we have it around, I'm using the Ronin 4D, so we get a nice smooth move out of it, which isn't very backyard filmmaking of us, but I'm gonna allow this one cheat. Next up, we need shots of the actual knives.
Oh shit! It's literally what the episode's about. Wait a minute.
First, I grab the asset for the moving toward throwing shot. For this, I'm using the stick glued to the knife, of course, after making sure that this thing is really locked on there. And I did this in 2 ways. First, in front of a green screen and moving a camera toward it. We have the knife being supported along the stick so it remains relatively in the same position while rotating. And given how we did this, I'm not entirely convinced it needed to be a green stick, which needed another coat of green anyway. Looks pretty terrible. But hey, there you go.
Sometimes we expect great things, but things can't always work out the way we expect. And when we're severely disappointed, we become emotionally upset.
And the second one with me walking it down the hall, which I assumed wouldn't look great since it would have that bobbing of my walking inside the motion of the knife. For this one, we secured the knife to a piece of cardboard that we painted green, which again, admittedly, isn't the best, but hey, this is supposed to be backyard filmmaking today, so there you have it. I also slapped a tracking marker on there since I'll need to stabilize the knife later, then spun the board in front of the camera in the same position that it will be comped into later on in post. And here we can see why we're doing it this way instead of just getting a still shot of the knife to use. As the knife turns, the light and reflections move around as well, which will help us sell this look more than anything else. So now with everything shot, we'll jump into After Effects, but before we do, let's thank today's sponsor. Storyblocks has an ever-growing library that is demand-driven, so they are constantly optimizing and adding 4K and HD footage, After Effects and Premiere Pro templates, music, images, sound effects, and more to give you anything and everything that you need for your project. And these assets can really help save you and increase the value of your production, especially for those of us that have budget, resource, or time constraints. A great example for us is from our editing vlog episodes we did for my last short film. We were able to grab some great Storyblocks assets to help tell the story of our post-production journey. I also love it for their unlimited all-access plan that gives you unlimited downloads to their over 1 million assets. All these assets are royalty-free, of course, so you can use your downloaded content anywhere for commercial and personal use, which for all of us is an absolute must-have. And they do have a subscription for every budget. You can get a plan that works for you from their flexible subscriptions that scale to give you what you need so you can focus on creativity and not budget. So jump over to storyblocks.com/FilmRiot to grab the subscription that works for you.
Logo.
But speaking of posts, something that we have shown on our social media but haven't talked about here yet are these insane new monitors Josh and I got, which when arrived were bigger than we thought.
They're very large. Don't worry about me.
Huh?
Jackass.
You're doing great.
Yeah, you could really just do squats with these. That's
You're
not much
it
of a
looks like you're
squat.
holding a tiny refrigerator.
Cheers. Cheers. Oh, my finger! We could use these for jousting. Did that work?
Yeah.
I don't want to do it again. Why'd we do that? It was very stupid. It wasn't even very funny. Getting swole. Yes! Josh, feel the Josh, what? Let's just set him up now. What? Let's just set him up now. Okay. I don't want to do this anymore.
You good?
What?
You good?
No, yeah, I'm good. I'm just gonna throw up. Yeah, this is kind of like a weighted blanket.
I feel very comforted.
I do too.
This is Dell's 49-inch, yes, you heard me, 49-inch widescreen monitor. It's absolutely and gloriously massive. Honestly, at first, I was worried that I wasn't gonna like it because of how wide this thing is, but now I don't see how I could go back. It's a 32:9 aspect ratio with a resolution of 5120 by 1440, and the picture is excellent. Color and contrast have both been really great, which obviously for what we do is incredibly amazing, but more than anything else, the width is glorious for editing. The layout I can put together for cutting is just heaven. It's timeline for days. Two of my absolute favorite things about this one is A, no more line in the middle of two monitors. It's screen all the way across, so no loss of space or having to look more to the left or right unless I want to. And B, since I have both a Mac and PC, this makes it a ton easier by letting me connect both to one monitor and shift between those really fast with a hotkey, or splitting the screen to have my Mac on one side and my PC on the other. For how I work, this is huge, but overall, this thing is just insanely cool and gives me a lot of flexibility in how I work. And Josh, of course, has one as well. And it's interesting how this has made us a bit faster with just having more screen to be able to more coherently lay things out so we aren't searching for stuff all the time. And I mean, it's massive. It's the most massive computer monitor I think I've ever seen in person. It's a digital surfboard, and I love it. There's more info on it below if you're in the market for a new monitor and want something epic.
No. You channel your emotional energy into a direct attack on your problem.
It's mostly straightforward from here on out, so first let's take a look at this side shot here. I'll stabilize the footage using the tracking marker and mask if needed to isolate the knife from the background. Then I'll key the footage here, then I'll pre-compose, and now we should have an asset that is ready to be composited into our scene here. So we can animate it across the screen, or since we have it slow here, we could use time remapping and some motion blur to shift the speeds or ramp if that's what we want. You could also cut closer to our actor and have the knife asset more out of focus to sell the effect even more. For the other shot, it was the simple task of masking me and the stick out of the shot for our end result, but doing it in the same process as the side shot worked out pretty well. Again, what's really selling this is that it's real metal that's really rotating in the actual environment that we're compositing it into. So we're getting all those lighting changes and reflection changes that really help sell this final shot. Of course, this is all very DIY, very low resources, but stuff like this is always a blast and often surprisingly effective. And even more so, toying around with ideas like this will always open your mind to other easy fixes to fill your filmmaker toolbox of ideas. These DIY tests have actually served me well on projects that I did have a budget and resources on, but always things end up running into big issues that need simple solutions. But that's it for today. As always, if you aren't subscribed, consider doing that. Hit the bell to be notified when we put up new content. And until next time, don't forget to write, shoot, edit, repeat.